Ladies and gentlemen, I have very exciting news. A legend of chess has returned. I'm talking about Frank. In 2023, a young man from the UK took over the world of chess. He live streamed his matches, he made ridiculous blunders, he had occasional brilliancies, and he was funny every step of the way. He captured the hearts of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And his name was Frank. Frank even played in a PogChamps tournament on chess.com, finishing in second place. He was my protege. But then Frank disappeared. Until now. He's back. And not only is he back, and I will be covering a few of his games in this video, which all of you can learn something from, Frank is also going to join me on stage in London for the Gotham European Tour. I've been talking about this tour for a little while now. If you're watching this and the tour's over, I'm very sorry. London, May 9th. My two guests will be Danny Wrench himself, the Chief Chess Officer of Chess.com. I will be answering him difficult questions about the chess world, but also Frank will join me there. And if you want a ticket for any of the others, link is in the description, or you can scan that QR code. I'm so excited. Folks, we need to talk about Mr. Frank. This is Frank. He's playing a chess game as I'm making this freaking video. This dude is so dedicated. He didn't play chess for almost all of 2024. And when he came back, he played in December. This is when the return started. He went down to 767 rapid. His rating was 767. And now, just 2 months later, within the last 90 days, he went from 700 up to 1100 up to 1302 with a highest ever rating of 1319. This young man persevered against all odds and is now a 91 percentile chess player. This is a legendary stuff. Legendary stuff. And we will cover a few of those games today. I'm so excited for him. His puzzles rating is 2138, absolutely vicious. He has done so many puzzles. And I can't wait to share it with all of you, honestly. When Frank left chess, it was sad, and I don't know what he was doing in his personal life. I don't know if he was focusing more on school. I don't know if he had some personal stuff to take care of, but he has returned, and that is very exciting because honestly, he's as good as many of us. Like many, not me. I'm a little better, but over 90% of people are around his rating. So I'm going to show you a game he played December 2024 when he was rated 783. 783. May I add, by the way, the VIP tickets have sold out for London. Meet and greet, early access, signing session stuff, but we still got plenty of tickets left. And then this is the best win of his life right here. This is the last thing that we're going to take a look at. The highest rated player he has ever beaten. Let's go. So this is a game I think Frank played in the 60s or 70s in terms of accuracy. Just 2-3 months ago, he opened with e4. And he is a Vienna player. He plays the Vienna a lot. It's an opening that I told him to play a long time ago. If you're a Gotham protege, you got to play the Vienna, but you can play anything else. You can play, this, and we do have one of the best courses available on the entire internet on this educational platform that I literally built with my bare hands. Not quite. I don't know how to code, but I do know how to run an educational chess platform. And he played knight f3, which is not exactly the idea. The idea is to play bishop here and then like this, but whatever. Knight f3, d5. These are the kind of blunders that you're going to see at low level. d5 is just a bad move. It's just a free pawn. You can take it in either way. He takes it like this. His opponent plays knight e7. By the way, that is also a free pawn. So please, beginners, take your opponent's free pawns in the center if they are offering them. Otherwise, you want to stick to the basics. You want to develop your pieces in castle. If you don't see this, you should be thinking, develop my bishop and castle my king. I don't love the move queen e2, but I also don't hate the move queen e2. Black plays f6, which normally would just be a bad move to move a pawn to f6, but he is defending his pawn here. And now white struggles to do anything, right? So Frank plays d3, which is a little bit of a passive move. Black immediately taking back in the center, and I gotta tell you, black already has no problems. White is very passive. He blocked in his bishop. This bishop doesn't have any square it can come out to. This is a great move by Frank. I really like this move. Knight d7, and now, again, because you moved your queen in front of your bishop, you're going to be thinking, well, I need to castle this way, but I can't really do that because then I'm going to, you know, fall under some sort of pressure and attack. D4. And now we have the knight going to the E4 square and C3. Bishop goes to F5 and he plays knight H4. I like the position so far. Nice trade. And now Frank really should have looked for checks, right? Like at this point you look, oh, I have queen H5 check and I'm actually going to win the pawn on F5. So queen H5 I should look for. This, I get this move, and you know, if you're only going to spend 3 seconds, I kind of get the move F3, but you have a check. You have to take your chances. That's how you're going to have to get to the next level. And here Frank gives away the pawn on A2, but it's kind of fortunate because he can actually take on in the center here. And again, here, the move that you need to play with white is you need to protect the pawn on A2, because if you don't, now you are losing. So you need to be very careful when you castle long in chess, when you castle queenside, that you're not blundering the pawn in the corner. Now, white at this point needs to realize the queen is not immobile. The queen is able to move. The queen can go here. The queen can go there. Like, the bishop can get out. You have to do something. What you don't want to do here is start opening the position even more. You do not want to open the position if your king is weak. If your king is weak, your brain should not be thinking, I need to open the position. I know what you might be thinking, which is take, free pawn. But because you have such bad piece coordination, you need to be extremely careful here. And Frank is not extremely careful here. Here he gets very unlucky, because I think knight c4 was just a blunder, unless the opponent saw that this would be possible. And yeah, now queen a1 is mate in 2. This is mate, except it's defended, so you go check, up, and then it's mate. Black sees that, and then, you know, takes the rook. When queen takes b2 here, this is how you get an accidental checkmate. Black didn't even see that this was a checkmate, right? And now that's check, and now very nice move here. And just a little rule of thumb, bishop d3, very nice idea. Trying to, this is very clever stuff, trying to deflect. Black has mate in 4 if every move is a check, but black is more set on taking the pawn. And now the move I would play, not rook b1, I would have went rook d1, trying to get one final hurrah, one checkmate. Black absolutely clinical here, converts the position barely, slowly, almost blunders their own checkmate, but accidentally gets a checkmate, and Frank loses. Now, let's be honest, this was a very suspicious game. I don't mean suspicious like anybody was cheating. Absolutely nobody cheated in this game. It's very, 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 very clear. Nobody cheated. How do we go up from here, right? How did Frank go from 783 3 months ago to 1300? Let's see what changed. E4. The truth is, here's actually a crazy plot twist. He might have not changed that much. Watch this game if you want to get to 1300. And if you're watching this in your 2000, well, yeah, you don't really want to get to 1300. Been there, done that. But, you know, E4, E5. Okay? We're going to get another Vienna. All right? We're going to get another Vienna. There it is. Bishop B4. Now, it's important that if you play certain openings as an intermediate and early advanced player, you know how to exploit certain moves by your opponent. So against Bishop B4, I like to play D4. This is the best move because, you know, the position that you get is very nice. And if there's this, you're just much better. You will develop your bishop and then you castle queenside and then you start launching these pawns at your opponent's king. If you don't have that prerequisite opening knowledge, I would develop the pieces. I don't like that Frank plays in such a way where he doesn't take care of his other pieces, right? But at least in this game, there was no queen moves. There was no queen moves. He just developed his bishops. Okay, they're a little bit passive, but I gotta tell you, most intermediate players just trade these bishops for these knights like it's, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, they don't even... H6, castles, knight c6, and now knight h4. Okay, so Frank is just offering a trade of, knight h4 is not the best move, but it's a move. All right, now he's like, I gotta get rid of that bishop. Okay, great. That's exactly what black does. He takes. Now black finds an excellent tactic. Black sees this queen is targeting this knight. Plays knight takes e4. This is 1300 level chess, right? Like this is serious business. Frank goes back. Black takes the bishop. Black is better. All right? Black has an advantage here. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm very confused about something. Yeah, I think I discussed this in the last video. For whatever reason, the speakers are just like doing some weird stuff. Anyway. My computer cannot decide if it's going to have audio output in the headphones or the speakers. So if it's been working or not working, I apologize. Anyway, how do we play from here? I'm going to try to take you through step by step the thought process of what an intermediate player should think like. Bishop d5. Does that move have a threat? Targets my knight. Is there a threat? Not really. What does my opponent want? I don't really know. Okay, my turn. Here's some ideas. Rook b1, attacking the pawn. Does it improve my position? Yeah. Is there a tactic for my opponent? Probably not. c4, asking this bishop what it's doing. Is my opponent going to take? d4, because if d4, maybe we trade and we open up the center. Any of those moves are good. Frank goes here. Okay, black goes back. Black decides I don't want to trade bishop for knight. Okay, not much has changed. So what am I thinking? I'm thinking still rook b1. I'm thinking maybe d4. I'm thinking maybe put the rook, in the middle. I know black is going to count. Let's see what Frank chooses. d4. Okay, fantastic. And, this is a nice move because d5 is coming. And if you have this big trade, at the end you have a centralized queen. It's looking over here. Okay, yeah. Now the drawback is you double your own pawns, but maybe you'll push them in the future. Black goes here. Okay, so your knight's hanging. You can go backwards, or you can do danger levels. Danger levels. You don't have to move your knight if you can also counterattack. Let's do that. Look at this little move. And in general, if you're looking at this a little bit more advanced, black's king is still in the middle, so opening the position's a bit dangerous. Black takes the knight. Now here, you gotta be really careful. Stay patient. Don't take the other piece. The fork is still there. Bishop takes f3. Rook e1 is now an idea. dc6 is now an idea. And black here, what black should do? Black should castle. Black should just give up a piece. You don't have to actually move one of the pieces. Black goes here. Black overreacts, which is a very normal thing that happens. When you put pressure on people, they wilt. Now, you just take a free knight. This was a huge mistake. If black wanted to do anything, black should have went here, which is also not a good move, because your king gets stuck in the center. And also you're hanging a pawn here. So this is not any good. So what happens? Knight d4 and Frank takes. Now Frank is completely winning because the bishop hangs and g7 hangs. Now black has to move the bishop. He doesn't. He loses two pieces. Now he's just down a bishop. Now how do you convert a position like this? That's going to be in my second book. I'm writing a second book, by the way. It's going to be called How to Win a Chess. Actually, title is undecided. I'm hoping it's going to be called How to Win a Chess too, but it's a little undecided right now. But it will be for intermediate players, and one of the chapters is on converting winning positions because this is a pain point for many people. Maybe it's already out. So, obviously, black here should have moved the bishop, but honestly, even that's not that easy because guess what? The king's in the middle. I would play rook e1, king d7. I'd probably grab a pawn. And now black's king is in the middle. I'm going to try to, get over here, get to the king because the king is in the way. Now, how does Frank win this? Grabs a pawn. Love it. e5 is a nice idea. Your rook is hanging, so you counterattack, but guess what? When you counterattack, be prepared to get counterattacked. That move used to protect that diagonal. Now you lost that diagonal, and now you take a full rook, and here black resigned. Black just lost a knight, a bishop, and a rook in like 5 moves. Literally, you go back 5 moves. This is move 16. Black ends up losing 11 points of material in 5 turns. I gotta tell you something. That's pretty freaking impressive. That's pretty impressive. It happens though, and Frank in this game, he played well. Black had to find a tactic. Knight takes e4 was a really nice tactic with this discovered attack. And then, ultimately Frank won. This is a 500-point difference than where he was 3 months ago. And then a few days later, Frank had another game. We're going to look at this game with the black pieces. This was a longer game, 32 moves. I think the last game was like 20 moves. Let's analyze this game and see if there's anything we can learn. By the way, Frank is a true, the OG Gotham starter package is you spam the Vienna, right? You spam the Vienna, and with black, you play the caro-kann. This package of Vienna and caro-kann will get you easily to 1,000. Easily. I guarantee you get to 1,000, provided you are like actually studying the opening and not just like watching a YouTube short and then playing it. I guarantee you can get to 1,000. Literally every single person watching this video. If you play Vienna and caro-kann. Knight f3, d5, because it's so simple. Because you get to this position, you have your triangle, you put pressure on the knight, which defends the center, and then you're ready with c5 and knight c6. Your play is so simple. To put pressure on these pawns, you put that knight on f5. Now we're going to see, did Frank do that? Did Frank put this knight on c6 and put this knight on f5 and put pressure on the white center? A disciple must listen. c3, knight c6, perfect. Now you have the structure, and this bishop is on the perfect square. Bishop e3. No need to panic here, because this pawn is destabilized if white ever takes. Look at this, knight e7. Look at this, fantastic chess, knight e7. Now, if white takes, put the knight on f5, you try and take the bishop, try to win this pawn back. If white goes here, you play takes, 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 and queen h4. And once white loses this pawn, white will lose that pawn and that pawn too. Knight c3, queen d4, a6 to stop knight b5. This is weak, this is weak. Knight f3 to damage the pawns. White's position is horrible, completely horrible. This is how a seasoned caro-kann player plays the game. Knight f5, fantastic. Frank literally implements every single step of the caro-kann. White plays queen d3. Now, the problem is, sometimes you can implement every single step of an opening and still not, win on the spot. So a lot of people here get antsy. It's what Frank does, actually. He takes. There's no need to do this because it's fine, but you don't want to give your opponent an easy developing square. So here, I would just keep developing. Bishop e7, castle, and then do something. Okay, he takes, bishop b4. I'm not a fan of that move because, if you move your bishop out here and it can just be attacked by a pawn, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Don't put the bishop there. Put the bishop on e7. Queen b5. Okay. Pretty simple move, right? Queen c8. Don't love the move, but I understand it. a3. See, this is why you have to put the bishop on e7. There you go. Now white plays rook e1. Now I can castle. Fantastic position. Exactly what we are looking for. Now these knights are pressuring. The best move here for white is really hard to understand. Like, it's hard to find a move here. Also with this move, you did something really sneaky. You unpinned, which means your knight can now take this pawn, which means you are threatening bishop takes knight and knight takes d4. You're also sometimes threatening to take this. You also have a sneaky idea to play f6, opening the center for your bishop and your rook. Bishop g5 just loses on the spot. It loses on the spot because after bishop takes d4 is a fork of the queen and the bishop. It's just losing on the spot. Frank finds it. This is why you need to understand your openings, because your openings and the structures help you for the rest of the game. Now, Frank makes a mistake here. He notices that the bishop can take the bishop. He notices the bishop is hanging, so he takes the bishop. It's a mistake because it's not the most accurate move. Like, the most accurate move is, of course, to take the pawn attacking the queen. But I got news for you. It's still completely winning. Because if the rook takes, that's a fork. And if the queen takes, you just lose a pawn, and that's a fork. White plays the worst move. Bonus, if you want to really improve as an intermediate player, you should always pay attention to how your opponent can do damage to you if you let them. I'm talking about queen h7. Now, not teleporting. If you're, that's only something you saw back in the day with people who, hacked those first-person shooter games. They would just float above the map. We can't do that in chess. There's no God mode. Knight f takes d4. I would have probably taken with the c knight. You know why? Because when you take with the c knight, you also open up queen c1, which on top of being a fork is also a checkmate, basically. So you would just be totally winning there. But okay, he plays this. Queen goes back. He grabs the rook. And this is why you need to pay attention. You never know when you might accidentally blunder a checkmate. Queen c7. Solid move. Not the most ambitious. Here's one of those moments. Queen h5 is the easiest because you would play h6. Queen d3, queen c2 are very sneaky. There it is. That is the intermediate move, and it allows black to make a very simple defensive move. You guys want to be sneaky? You should play queen c2 here. Why queen c2? Because it looks like you are trying to pin the knight to the queen. A lot of people are going to be like, queen c2? Idiot. Obviously, I'm not going to take this with the knight. I'm going to take this with the queen, and then you lose. And then you uninstall chess.com from your phone because you're mad. that they posted a meme on Twitter about changing bishop names, but also because you're mad you blundered checkmate and won. Queen h5, h6 is easy. Now you just take it with the queen. Excellent. The way you win a winning position in chess, either just overwhelm, go for a checkmating attack, or trade. So here, double up the rooks, trade down there, trade the knights, promote your pawn, win an endgame. Knight c3, knight back. Again, I don't think knight c6 is necessary. If I'm playing black here, I'm putting my rooks in the middle. In fact, here, putting the rooks in the middle should be the autopilot move. Put the rooks in the middle. Good. Put the rooks in the middle. Good. Kick out the knight. Excellent. Push the pawn. Get the knight in and start attacking stuff. I wouldn't push the pawn too far because then it's going to get stuck. See? I wouldn't push the pawn too far. Knight to d4 is nice, though. You get back rank stuff. And now you have knight e2 and a fantastic move here, utilizing the pin, and white is losing. You can even take the knight. You can take the knight, and Frank finds it. The tactical awareness, the tactical acuity, the intelligence of the play is crazy. Is absolutely crazy. I was going to end the video. I think white resigned. And, you know, look, you don't have to resign here with white. If you're playing with black here, trade the knight. This is easy. But if you don't find that, you know, you actually have to work a little bit harder. It's funny because when I booted up this video, Frank was like in the middle of a game. I wonder if we can just, as a bonus, while we're here, analyze the game that he played. He just played a game. he just played a game. He's on a little bit of a downward tilt right now. He's lost 7 out of his last 8. It happens. It happens. But maybe we'll save that for the next video. But yeah, Frank is back. Frank is back. He will be joining me in London on May 9th. I'm super excited. Maybe we'll play some blindfold chess. He'll have a microphone in his hands. Be careful. It's going to be crazy. And I'm glad that he's returned. He's up to 1,300. It's probably higher rated than you, so get back to work on your chess, all right? If Frank can get from 800 to 1,300 in 3 months, just on a pure grind, so can you. Let this inspire you. And that's all I have for you today. Get out of here.